So your business is thriving, but your marriage feels strained. And you're wondering how in the world did you get here, right? Like, how did this happen? And I get it. Like, I've been there. I know exactly how you feel. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. If you're new here, I'm ShaQuayla Terrell. Welcome. I am a human flourishing coach, and I am on a mission to help wives in business live and lead from God's pace, not worldly pressure. This is a safe, faith centered space for wifepreneurs, women who love God and honor their covenant, but they still feel stretched thin between their marriage and business. Here, we are intentional about slowing down, realigning our priorities, and regaining control of our time so that we can build business success without sacrificing our marriage. If you are a loyal listener, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here, and I thank you for continuing to be on this journey with me. And so let's get into it. So, before we start talking about this tension in our marriage and where it came from and how to get it up out of here, I just want to address one thing because I believe it's really, really important. And that is, it is not that you are doing anything wrong. And I say that because we as women, naturally, when things are not going right, we blame ourselves. We start to look at what we're doing, what we're not doing, what we could be doing better, maybe an area that we're lacking in some sorts. And I just want to make it clear that this tension that you're feeling in your marriage, it's not a character issue. It's not anything that you're doing wrong. It's more of an order issue. So it's not a failure on your part. It is more so just authority starting to drift, right? And so when we feel that authority start to slip away, like we no longer feel like we're in control, and it's easy for us to start to become overwhelmed with the things that we have going on, right? Especially when it comes to business, right? Because business is very demanding. Business is very challenging. Business is very loud. We have clients that are constantly demanding, our time and our service. We have administrative things that have to get done on the back end. We have networking, we have marketing, we have so many different pieces that really and truly command our attention. And because of the way in which business, you know, shows up in our lives, it overpowers marriage sometimes because our marriage can be very soft, very quiet, very patient. And so when business demands are rising up at you, it tends to start to kind of outshadow or overshadow, you know, the needs of our marriage. And again, it's not nothing that we as women or as wives are doing wrong. It's just that little by little that authority, that control is starting to shift. And so now, instead of us operating from a place of peace, instead of us operating from God's pace, we now allow the pressure of the worlds and our obligations to start to influence our decisions and start to really, really weigh on us. And I know for me, it didn't happen overnight, right? Like it wasn't just one day I woke up and all of a sudden business is great and then my marriage just feel very distant. It kind of just it came literally like out of nowhere. And when I sit and I think about it, it had to happen over time, right? So little by little, business meetings started to run longer. They started to carry over into the evenings at times where, I should be at home and enjoying time with my husband. My mind is constantly thinking about my business to-do list or things I didn't get done. Did I remember to do this? Or I got to make sure I got to follow up on that, right? So even though I was physically at home, even though I'm physically present with my husband, mentally, I wasn't there. Like I'm checked out. And that started to really and truly produce the fruit of the tension that I was seeing in my marriage. Like our communication just became very dry and distant. We weren't really picking up on each other's needs. And it just, we were there, but we weren't there. And that says a lot because it's not that we as entrepreneurs, we are intentionally not showing up for our marriage or for our spouse. It's not that we are intentionally putting our marriage or putting our business before our marriage. It's not that we are saying that our business is more important than our marriage because it's not. It's simply a fact of somewhere along the lines, things got out of order and we didn't catch it in time. And so when we don't address a problem or we don't address any type of disorder, that disorder it's going to bear fruit. And the longer it continues, that fruit is going to multiply. So little by little, that tension grows and grows and grows. And the distance that you feel in your marriage gets further and further apart when it comes to you and your husband. And I know personally for my situation, my challenge was my laptop. Like I had my laptop open all the time at home. And, there are those subtle little comments from my husband about, you're always on your laptop. I didn't get it. Like I heard it, but I don't think I really caught what he was saying. And so I did miss that little opportunity to try to realign my priorities and get things back in order. And so the tension grew and grew and grew. But the good thing about it is that it doesn't have to be that way. And that's the one thing that God, ended up revealing to me is that, Shaquayla, if you see that there's some misalignment in your marriage and in your business, then all you got to do is come back to my place of peace, come back to my place of order, and realize that covenant is always going to come before calling. And so when we look at God's order and how things are supposed to be according to his will, it makes it more um it's easier for us to realign our priorities. It's easy for us to course correct and make sure that we are now choosing things that honor our marriage first versus choosing things that may seem like we are putting more value on our business. Because at the end of the day, it boils down to time stewardship as well. Time stewardship is not just, tasks that we have to get done. Time stewardship is also very spiritual. And it becomes spiritual because time stewardship also looks at value, right? Our time is valuable. So where are we putting most of our time? Where are we valuing a lot of our energy and things like that? And so one of the ways that, God showed me to really be able to remove that tension from my marriage and start to reconnect with my husband and start to just realign my priorities with God's order. And that was to just start identifying the time of day when I have the best energy, not the most time, not the most clarity or anything like that, but just the best energy, the most amount of energy. Where in my day do I have that? And then when you identify the time that you have the best energy, take that time to be intentional about giving some of that to your husband. You may not be able to give all of it to your husband all the time, but at Once a week, be intentional about finding that part of the day where you have the best energy and devoting that time to your husband. No distractions, no agenda, no phones, no business talk, none of that. Just be intentional about being physically and mentally present in your marriage and doing things that really and truly nurture intimacy with your husband. Whether that might be, just really and truly wondering how their day was, wondering how they're doing, you know, what are some things that, they're thinking about today? Or, finding time to go grab a bite to eat or go for a walk. Or maybe one thing that my husband and I absolutely love to do is sit there and binge watch, like a favorite Netflix series. I remember in the earlier parts of our marriage before we were really into Netflix, we used to binge watch Lifetime. And even though, Lifetime was more so for me, like that was something that was our little time together. It was uninterrupted. It was something special to me and him. And we both really enjoyed it. And we would just have like these just great conversations about, whatever crazy show we were watching on Lifetime. But again, I encourage you, take the time to identify when you have the best energy in your day and then be intentional about giving that time to your husband and doing something that is going to nurture and support the love and the desire that you two have for each other. And in doing that, your marriage is going to naturally just begin to just relax, and that tension that was there is it's going to just go away without you even trying to actually remove the tension. Why? Because you've restored God's order. And so when there's order, naturally there's peace. So I pray that this resonated with you. I hope that you will try it and see just how amazing and relieving it can be to give your husband the best energy, the best part of you first before business, and just see how much it will shift the atmosphere in your marriage. So again, if this resonated with you and if you want to continue to be a part of the conversation about marriage and business and faith and time stewardship, then I encourage you to like this video and subscribe. That way you know the next time we release another video. And I want to know, like, leave me a comment and tell me, how did it feel when you tried it? Like, how did it feel when you took the time to identify the time in your day where you have the best energy and how that shifted the tension in your marriage or relieved the tension in your marriage when you gave your husband the best of you first before business? Until next time, see you later.